Hello everyone and welcome back. Hope things are well today. In terms of the transfer world at Newcastle United, I've stated it already in my video yesterday, but Newcastle will sell before Newcastle will buy in this window, and if Newcastle will buy in this window, because I don't think it's that clear and cut either. But starting off, I wanted just to highlight something we're going to see quite a lot of, not just in this transfer window and not just in future transfer windows as well, but during the season, every single week. And it's just the level of entitlement opposition fans have towards Newcastle, and just these big six teams just looking down on Newcastle. And it's something we've seen quite a lot already. So just to warm you up, I wanted to show you a video from Howe, a Manchester United fan. Let's see what he has to say. This is at the start of the season, by the way. Let's see what he has to say about Newcastle United.
So they signed Lewis Hall for about £28 million. Lewis Hall, oh, right now, okay, what absolute young, up-and-coming 19-year-old phenom is Lewis Hall? Well, they had him there last season. They played him 8 times. And they paid £28 million for him off Chelsea. Whereas United have just paid, what? Is it 12 for Mazraoui? Yep, 28. Yep, okay. Meanwhile, Dan Ashworth secured Euro and stopped him going to Real Madrid. De Ligt and Mazraoui from Bayern Munich. Xerxes and Ugarte. Actually, looks like the best piece of business Newcastle did was getting $2 million out of United for Dan Ashworth. They got the best of the deal that then, didn't they? Screwed us right over.
Well, where do we begin with that one? You sacked Dan Ashworth, so you paid money for Dan Ashworth and you sacked the guy. He's basically claiming that he's a better signing than Lewis Hall. Hello, do I need to explain that one? Lewis Hall quite literally destroyed your team a couple of days ago, and just look at the league table. You can whinge about Newcastle's transfer window all you want, but Newcastle on the pitch are a million times better than Manchester United. And I would go as far to say this might come across as an entitled comment for me, but I honestly don't think currently there is a player in Manchester United starting 11 that would actually start for Newcastle United, with maybe the exception of Amad Diallo over Jacob Murphy. But even then, Jacob Murphy's form at the minute, I almost feel quite bad and feel a bit disrespectful towards Jacob for saying that, because he deserves to be in the starting 11 at the minute. So yeah, that's about all I could say about Manchester United, really. But it's not just Manchester United, and it's not just comments that were made at the start of the season. Comments over the last 2 days. Look at Sky Sports, look at any social media page, any football media page. They are all against Newcastle United. I go on Sky Sports News, and you got Paul Merson coming out and saying that Arsenal in this window should splash the cash on Alexander Isak, as if we would sell Alexander Isak in this window. Why would we sell our most sellable asset, our highest valued player, and quite literally our only striker? Why would we sell our only striker in this window to a Premier League rival, not to mention the team that we are playing in the Carabao Cup semi-final? Why would we sell Isak before the second leg of that semi-final to a team that quite literally will be better with Alexander Isak in? So yeah, it doesn't make any sense, that one. And it's not just Paul Merson, it's not just Sky Sports News. You even watch the Manchester United game, and I've seen Liam Kennedy, for example, from Newcastle World call it out. Just listen to the commentary. The commentary team are almost Manchester United fans. You listen to the way they reacted when Joe Linton scored. There's no enthusiasm at all. There's no sense of, oh, Newcastle's just scored a goal. It's just so diluted, and the wording and the sound of it is just so low. It's just, honestly, just watch any of this. I fully believe in this entitlement now. I've seen Tottenham fans yesterday on social media, oh, we should go out and buy Lewis Hall for £50 million. I mean, first off, we spent over 30 million on him. Secondly, let me state the obvious point. He is quite literally a Newcastle United fan. Why would he join Tottenham? It was Tottenham. The same guy, by the way, actually forced the transfer out of Chelsea to join Newcastle in the first place. Why would you go to Tottenham? Chelsea's quite literally already a bigger club than Tottenham, more successful in London, got a better squad than Tottenham. This season, they are miles ahead of Tottenham in the league table. Why would Lewis Hall all of a sudden now go, well, you know what? I'm going to join Tottenham, and Newcastle just accept a £50 million bid? Like, all these people are cloud 9 or something, because I just don't understand this one at all. It's just so entitled, these opposition fans, who think they just walk into Newcastle United and buy up our players. Manchester City think they can walk in and buy Bruno. Liverpool think they can walk in and buy Anthony Gordon. Tottenham fans think they can walk in and buy Lewis Howe. Chelsea also think they can get Alexander Isak. Newcastle will not bend down to these teams, and Newcastle will not submit and just accept low ball offer for these players. We've got high price tag, £150 million at Isak, for a reason, because we don't want to sell the players. We don't want to sell any of our sellable assets in this window. This window is just a clear out. If Newcastle want to sell some players in this window, they're going to be your older players. They'll be players that are squad rotation. It is quite literally just to clear them out and to perhaps get some wages off the books, but they will not sell any of their big players in this window, considering the fact that we have a Carabao Cup semi-final next week, not to mention the fact that we have, of course, a top 4 race, which we are well and truly in the race of potentially getting back to the Champions League. So I just don't understand this at all. Apologies for going a bit off topic, guys. I know we're all here for transfer news, but expect a lot of this on social media. This level of entitlement, this level of disrespect towards Newcastle, and just opposition teams just thinking that they can just get past Newcastle and think they can just get one over Newcastle. It's just not the case at all, and that's just not how Newcastle are now. So yeah, it might be a bit of a passionate rant perhaps there, but I don't understand this. I really don't understand this from opposition fans. So yeah, I just thought I'll come out in this video and at least address that for now. Perhaps if you guys find that amusing, you guys enjoy me rinsing to these examples, and perhaps we could do a full video just going through just hundreds of these, because they're absolutely all over the place. But for now, I just wanted to make you fully aware that on social media, expect to see stuff like this. It's going to happen. But for me, just before we get into the transfer news today, if you are new around here, make sure to get down here, hit that subscribe button, smash the like button if you enjoy the content. We are heading down to London tomorrow. 2 games, Tottenham and Arsenal, over the next few days. I'll be down for the pair of them. We've made a bit of a shooting mistake for Tottenham, I can't lie, so I will address it in my video. But yeah, expect maybe a different type of video on Saturday. But Arsenal's all sorted. We're definitely at Arsenal. But yeah, I did make a bit of a shooting mistake for Tottenham, I can't lie. But in terms of Newcastle going into that now, I wanted to address Eddie Howe quickly, to be fair, because Chris from The Athletic actually put quite an interesting article out about Eddie Howe. And one of the main topics he talked about was the fact that Eddie Howe, after the Brentford games, that was our last loss, actually sat down individually with every single player. He called each player one by one into his office. He sat down for them and he just talked about where that individual player needed to improve on. He sat down with every single player at the football club and just was harsh, but criticised them and discussed where they can improve on. And since that, Newcastle's won all 5 games, and we've conceded 0 in the Premier League. And we'll talk about Martin Dubravka in just a moment, because it's actually been stated that Dubravka, in the 4 matches he's played in the Premier League, actually only made 4 saves, with 2 of those being inside the box. He's made 4 saves in 4 games, so 1 save a match, statistically, is what Dubravka has done for Newcastle, which he hasn't done anything wrong, to be fair to Dubravka, but at the same time, perhaps we are maybe gaslighting it a little bit. As good as Dubravka's been, especially with his feet, he is miles better than Pope with his feet. But the truth is, he still hasn't faced any real competition. I like to say, yeah, he's made some good saves when he's needed to, but he's not really had much to do. And speaking of Dubravka, now this is a fascinating one. This one's caught me a bit off guard, because maybe again, as I just said there, maybe I've looked at these games a bit too much, but according to some media reports in Saudi Arabia, it's been stated that Al Shabab's actually reached an agreement to sign Martin Dubravka in this window. So, as I always say in these videos, most certainly take it with a pinch of salt, because we'll see over the next week or so how this one transpires. I'm still a bit on the fence with this one, because with Martin Dubravka, yes, he's 36 years old now, but if Newcastle want to get any money for this player, now's the time to sell him. He's had some fantastic games. Newcastle actually can get money for what is basically going to be a second, third choice goalkeeper inside the club. So someone that his best years are probably behind him, despite how good he's been. And there's that stage where if Newcastle want any money for this guy, now is the time to sell him. So Newcastle might actually just go, well, we're bringing a new goalkeeper in now, a younger goalkeeper, we'll sell to Dubravka. But at the same time, though, why change someone that's not broken? Dubravka's done quite well so far. I think Newcastle could ride the storm with Dubravka. I think Dubravka would be fine until the end of the season, or at least until Nick Pope is back. And if Dubravka has some bad games, then Nick Pope can come back in. So we've got the options there. And maybe Newcastle doesn't need the rush and sell Dubravka. Maybe we could give him a 1-year extension and then sell him in the summer, maybe for a little less. But if it's a £1 million less move, then it's probably worth keeping hold of Dubravka until the end of the season. So again, there's a lot of questions in the air. I think Newcastle got a few different scenarios in terms of the goalkeeper spot they can do now. For me, I'm more accepted of perhaps keeping them until the end of the season at least. Maybe give him a 1-year extension now. If Dubravka accepts, then you could perhaps sell him in the summer and get a little less. But I don't know where I would go with this one. What do you guys think about this? I'm a bit perplexed. Would you sell Dubravka now and get a little bit of money for him, or would you keep him until at least the end of the season, either let him go on a free or try and give him a 1-year extension? I'm not sure what I would do. I'm really not. So it's intriguing to see what Newcastle does. According to some Saudi Arabian sources, he has reached an agreement to join Al Shabab. So we'll see over the next couple of days how that goes. Of course, Miguel Almiron has got a £5 million asking price for him. Now, £5 million is not a lot. That is not a lot at all. Now, you got to remember, Charlotte FC in the summer MLS team quite literally offer Newcastle £8 million, and we said no, we wanted more. Not to mention, Almiron also didn't want to go back to the MLS, and his agent has been quite awkward. And that's the unfortunate situation with this transfer. His agent's just awkward. Everything with this has been awkward. It's not been an ideal situation to try and sort out. It's just been a case where it's been a hard deal to sell. It's been hard to get rid of this guy. He's older now. He's 31 now. He's someone where Newcastle have no use for him whatsoever. Jacob Murphy starts for us. Miggy's our second choice winger on the right-hand side, and he's not even getting game time. It just says a lot about Newcastle. They've got no interest in keeping them anymore. For me, yeah, I think he's a player probably should have won it at least last season, but to sell him eventually, just let him off the books. Thank you for your service, but Newcastle need to improve and Newcastle need to get better in if we are to progress and to get Champions League football again. But of course, never forget the ones who got us there in the first place. But in my personal opinion, £5 million is quite low, to be honest. It is quite low, but just get him out. Yeah, just get him off the books. He's one that I think we should sell. But coming out of this video, they're probably the main topics, really. It's this Dubravka is probably the main topic that came out this morning. Other than that, it's been, I guess, a slow day, which I would argue is somewhat of a good thing in Newcastle, because I would much rather have a slow day than a busy day of all our big players being rumoured, and with these big clubs, I can't be bothered with it. So just to see a bit of a slow day is fine. Of course, we're heading down to London tomorrow, so we'll get plenty of videos coming out. Stay tuned. I wish you all the best. Let me know your opinions down below on what we've just talked about in this video. But yeah, see you all in the next one.